Welcome back to the Authority X Factor podcast. I'm your host, Kelly Schuknecht. And in my book, Unlocking Your Authority X Factor, I talk about how your personal brand is something that should evolve as you do. Today's guest is a master of the long game and a perfect example of what it looks like to lead with both heart and high level strategy. Andi Graham is the founder, CEO, and managing partner at Big C, a marketing agency she founded back in 2005. For over 25 years, Andi has been building story first websites and campaigns that move people to action. While her agency has worked across almost every industry imaginable, she has recently narrowed her focus to work specifically with purpose-driven brands that want to make a real-world impact. Andi has led massive digital transformations and raised millions through her campaigns, but she's also deeply human. She's a board member, an agency acquirer, a survivor of Hurricane Helene,
Yep.
and as she describes herself, a hopelessly devoted Green Bay Packers fan. Today, we're going to talk about how Andi sustained her authority over 2 decades, the power of shifting your focus toward purpose-driven work, and how she balances being a high-level CEO with the fiercely independent reality of being a mom and a dog lover. Andi, welcome to the
Yeah.
show.
Oh, it's so good to be here. It's love to see your face again.
Well, yeah, we met at Leadership Love, which is a Bureau of Digital event
Yep.
last year, and you actually spoke, and you spoke about your experience with Hurricane Helene. But yeah, so we go a little ways back, but I don't know your full story. So we're going to start with your authority X factor, as I define that. It is kind of the unique intersection of your career path, your skill set, your interests, the things that kind of led you to serve the clients the way that you do now, 25 years into having your agency. So, Andi, how would you describe that, your authority X factor?
It's funny because it's come full circle into me recognizing this again recently. With the rise of AI, I am a figure it outer. I am a person who dives in and does and plays. And that has historically been the root of my career, like getting hired as a freelancer, even in my first real job out of college. I just kind of grabbed things that I saw were possible and figured out how to do them. I like to think I'm resourceful because those were the days before there was YouTubes and TikToks and a million different, methodologies for teaching you to do things.
Yeah.
Um, but I just dive in and I taught myself to build websites because I knew I wanted to be able to change the color of something or the font on something. And I learned how to write HTML. And then I decided I wanted to edit, the content. And so I learned how to build on WordPress. And it just kind of snowballed from there. I think I'm a jack of all trades, but a master of none. Like I get just good enough at something to feel like I can talk about it authoritatively, which is probably a little bit scary. But then I hire people who are obviously, deep specialized experts and much better than I am. But yeah, I
Yeah.
think I'm just a figure it outer. And so that's led me to a huge myriad of experiences from being, a UX designer on huge international apps and going through mobile app land and app development world and then moving into marketing. Like all of those things are just what I do. I also really have a high like figuring it out for me is also education based. And so I did do go through a master's program in like what I do now. So, but it is part of just me like wanting to know as much as I can know about the topic. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's it.
So very self-led and kind of just kind of creating your own path as you go.
Yeah.
Um, so the Big C, you work specifically with purpose-driven brands. I think I remember
Mhm.
you saying nonprofits when we were together, right? A lot of
We do
nonprofits that you work with.
yep, a lot of nonprofits, and then we work with a lot of B2B orgs that are like B Corps, mostly service-based organizations, in the B2B space that are sort of we work with some DEI consultants and educational consultants and, people that do creative programming, things like that. So, yeah, a little bit of both.
And how did you kind of what led to that niching into the purpose-driven brand
Yeah.
specifically?
It's the most generic story probably in the universe because we started as an in-person agency and my business partner and I were down in St. Petersburg, Florida. We had the big 5,000 square foot office that everybody came into and the pinball machines and the like all the bells and whistles. And we really enjoyed that while that was our time. That was our, phase. And then COVID hit, just like it did every agency. And so we went remote. And my business partner was always of the mind that he never wanted to work at a remote agency. He wanted to be in person. He loved that energy. And so for me, it was the opposite. I wanted to leave town and I was like, I need to move out of Florida. I haven't wanted to be here for a very long time. This is the perfect time to do it while the kids are out of school. Like, let's get out of here. So he agreed. I moved up to Asheville, North Carolina, and he stayed down there. Well, once you aren't the sort of big fish web agency or one of the only digital marketing agencies in a metropolitan area, you've got to figure out what's our hook. And that hook is not something that is being a generalist. Either we could go all in on one of our service offerings, but we had a team that we had a specialist in a whole lot of different areas. We had 30 some folks. And so we knew we could handle a volume of work, but wouldn't it be great if we just went really deep on one industry? And wouldn't it be great if we actually felt really good about the impact we were having and the work that we were doing and could say, like, we are literally fighting for this cause that we believe in? And of course, this was during Trump's first presidency. And so a lot of us were just feeling very like we wanted to stand up and start building that world in the best way that we possibly could. And so we knew it would take a lot of change, but we also knew that at least on a national stage, it's the only way that you can get noticed is if you are an actual expert in something specific, right? And
Mm,
so the riches and the niches is it's true, but it's also hard to pivot into that. And so we lost some team members. We had a couple folks who wanted to work on big tech SaaS companies, and we had some clients in that space as well. And so one guy went to IBM and, others moved on, and that's okay. Like, that was their path. And we had to still choose our path, even though it meant some hard changes that we had to face. But I would not change a thing. Like, we work with some of the most just impactful organizations that make me feel good about both making a paycheck and paying my employees and also like changing the world at the same time. Is just like such a delight to wake up and be able to do that every day. So
yeah. Yeah. Well, you mentioned, you had a couple clients in that space. Did you keep clients on, or did you actually kind of wean out some of the clients that didn't make sense for the new direction?
it's funny because we kept clients on, and we still have a few clients that are not in that niche. Our goal was over a 5-year period to be sort of 80-20. And the 20 are clients that a lot of times we have, for instance, one of them, the CMO she's brought us through like 5 different organizations, right? So she was a marketing coordinator at her first job 10 years ago working with us. And then she became a marketing director, and then she became a manager, or whatever it was, her path. She brought us into every organization. And so we still have a lot of those organizations in our roster, but where she is now is like not at all related to what our niche is. But we do such a good job, and she knows us and our
Right.
team members and that we're capable, and so we've kind of stayed on with that work. We've been able to pivot that. That's where the B2B side of our business comes in, and so now we can say, like, yeah, we have insane success in B2B spaces because of these clients who maybe aren't purpose driven, but they are, the same same sort of approach that we're going to be using for our purpose driven org. So,
Sure.
yeah.
Yeah, because I hear a lot of people that, people have concerns with niching down because
Yeah.
as we know in marketing, it's like when you do niche down, like you're saying no to a lot of other things, and people have concerns about, like,
Hmm.
well, now I'm closing the door to that. But the reality is a lot of organizations do what you're doing, where, like, it's not saying that you can't work with other things that are outside of your niche. It's just
Yep.
that you want to try to specialize as much as you can. When it came to your own positioning and marketing for Big C, what changed there? How did you reposition yourselves in order to better target that new audience?
Yeah, it is harder than you're right. It is harder than people think. And I actually had a really great SEO at the time who said, "Give me 1 year to just go all in on nonprofits. Like, that's it. Let's not even do this B2B thing. Let's do nothing else, just nonprofits. Let's not focus on higher ed." There's entire higher ed agencies there to own this space. And it's not that there aren't other nonprofit agencies. There's really only 5 to 7 like that compete from an organic search perspective. And so she wanted that as a challenge. And I thought, let's try it. I have nothing, if we're going to go all in, it's going to be a lot easier to do if we're doing it all in instead of three fifths and two fifths, all the other stuff that we write about or create content around. So we just kind of said, let's go all in. We started updating the language across our entire website. We removed a whole bunch of things. We started deleting case studies that were up there that didn't align with the market that we wanted to attract. And it probably took 2 full years, I'd say 18 months for sure. But within 18 months, we were starting to attract an incredible amount of leads that were right in our niche. And so we actually count how many like actual nonprofit contacts we were getting into our database. And one of the smartest things that we did was we have always given out, when my business partner and I were in Florida in person, we were very well known in our area. And so, as any local agency, we are constantly asked to give our services pro bono to every single nonprofit in the universe. We need a new website. Could you just help us with this campaign? You're already on the board. Like, you could build this for free. And so he and I had to come up with a way between the two of us to not say yes to every single thing, because we want to help, but like we can't afford to just give away our
Right.
labor for free. So we developed a grant. And so we now have this $30,000 a year grant that we give to nonprofits, and they apply, and we choose one organization, and we can actually do something cool because it's a significant amount of money. And so instead of saying, let's do a few $100 here, $1,000 there, the small project here and there, we're actually really focusing on having a much larger impact. Well, that has been by far our best lead generator, because we wrote all these blog posts about grants for marketing for nonprofits, and it gets all kinds of traffic. And then we get all these signups for people to get on the waiting list. And, we've been able to build relationships that way. So it was almost a secondary like win for that grant program, but it's been just a gift that keeps on giving. So, yeah. So I will say, like, finding that one big hook or some way to get involved. I immediately joined like the Association of Fundraising Professionals and all the different nonprofit groups, and started showing up at meetings and going to conferences. But my gosh, like, when you choose a niche, if it's an industry anyways, or even if it's like one of your core service offerings, if you've got a vertical that you can go in on, you know where to show up. And that's such a hard thing to do when you're a generalist. We're just going to marketing conferences then, right? We're going to like Inbound, and we're going to Conversions Summit, and you don't know where to show up because you don't know where your clients are. We're going in on nonprofits, like, I know exactly where I want to be. So that was a huge win for us. And it actually, every time I got on a stage, I'm coming out with 3 or 4 new contacts, or 3 or 4 new like deals in my pipeline that are people who want to work with us. So it's been great. Been really good.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's really interesting. So I want to like just back up a little bit. So you started this agency in 2005, is that right? Yeah.
I did. Yeah.
um, what uh, what tell me about like what you thought of what you did then versus now. So a big part of, Authority X Factor for people is like learning how they are best capable of serving people, right? I wrote
Hmm.
my book out of my experience of like discovering that after 20 years of my career of working for other people, right?
Yeah.
For you, you were working for yourself that whole time. You started this long before, you probably really knew what you were best able to do. Like, so tell me about like how you saw the agency in 2005 versus kind of how you've gone through the evolution process over that what is that, 21 years or so?
Yeah. Um, There's a small amount of magic when you're starting something tiny. That is, if you pick up your phone when your clients call you, you've already done 90% more work than your competitors, because a majority of service providers literally just don't answer the phone or respond to emails. And so, like, the lowest level of effort was just that I was responsive. But there was also just something. 2005, I was working at an agency, and I was trying to sell digital. I was their director of digital, trying to sell digital to the existing advertising clients. But I was not allowed to get in front of clients because I was like 26 years old, so I wasn't prepared to do that. So the account executives are going to these clients and they're selling websites as if they're brochures, as if they're like billboards, as if they're just a design project. And yet I'm over here on the back end, like wiring up these insane databases and search tools and like, display things. And I'm like, you guys are asking me to do things that have never been done before, but you're pricing it as if it's something we've done 1,000 times. And that just doesn't work. And so I learned a lot about like how not to sell digital products, but I didn't have a model for how to sell it. I
Mm.
just knew that like I can figure things out. I just need the time to do it. And so I've got to figure out a compensation model. And thus became time and materials, right? Hourly billing. And it sounds crazy, but like that's just not how websites were being sold by big agencies at the time. And it took them a while to adapt to that model as well. Um, but yeah, I think it was I picked up the phone, but I also trusted myself like an incredible amount. I knew that I was going to deliver for clients because that's who I am. I don't say yes to something if I can't follow through. And I think, like you, I didn't put that together until probably a decade later that clients trusted me because I trusted myself. Like I felt I had confidence in my ability to say, I don't know what this is, but I'm going to figure it out. And I'm going to tell you if I can't figure it out. And I'm going to tell you who I'm going to call to help me solve these problems. And I think that's part of it is that like if you can trust yourself, the clients will trust you. Like if you're not bullshitting them, if you're not coming across smarmy or salesy, and I was never that way. I've always said I'm the worst salesman, but I think that makes me the best salesperson because I'm actually here to tell you what's right. I'm not going to sell you more than you need, and you're going to hear me say, "No, you don't need that. It's not. That's too much for you right now. Like let's start over here on this tiny little thing." Um, so I think that's part of it. It's just a level of trust and confidence in yourself when you start something. I don't know what Big C was in 2005. It was me saying yes to projects and then honestly finding resources to help me execute on them when it was something over my head. Knowing that I was a good project manager at the very least and could connect dots on like what had to happen when and how. And if I could find somebody to do the work, then we were going to be golden. So I quickly got out of like the development side because I'm not that great at it. And then I quickly found designers because I'm also not that great at it. I'm a pretty good copywriter and I'm pretty good on content strategy side. But um, yeah, so I was finding my
Yeah.
lane and yeah.
And your role must be a lot different now than back then. I mean, you talked about some of that, right? Like, so you were taking on jobs that you were like, it like, yes, you knew you could do it, and you knew that someone else might be able to do it better, right?
Yes. Yeah. It's a little bit the same. Like I've been saying this for the past year, but like AI to me has been like learning to build websites for myself. And now we have clients where they have the budgets, everybody says, why are you working with nonprofits? They don't have money. We work with nonprofits that have money. So it's not about not having money. It's for us,
Yeah.
it's about delivering value. And AI for us allows us to deliver more for the same amount of money to our clients, which I flipping love because instead of saying, no, we can't also do your social media and do your these things, we can say, hey, I'm going to write you a Claude skill and you're going to do your own social media and we'll just help you edit it, like, and make sure it's right. But I can build a skill for them now that allows them to get 90% of the way there using our expertise and our years and years and years of experience and build that workflow for them so that they can do these things too. So I just love it. And that's where I've been kind of back in the like doing the work again. So even though I am like running the company, I'm also like deeply in, hey, we're going to build an agent that's going to help us with REP responses. And I'm going to build these skills and then teach my team how to build the skills, They're less, I think a lot of team members in general, and I'm learning this from a lot of agency owners that are like our teams have work they have to accomplish. And so they don't have this like joy de vivre, just ability to like come in and play. And I have that sort of authority and also time to play and figure things out. So I've been just loving it. And I'm like constantly just building, oh, I wish we had an app that did da 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 da. And then I just make it. So it's been really
Yeah.
fun, super energizing.
Yeah. Well, that's a unique perspective on AI, right? Because there's so many people in the marketing world who are concerned about AI and what it's taking over, what it's
Yeah.
replacing. But the reality is, like, if you learn how to use it really well, you can monetize that, right? Like, you can turn it into a service offering,
Yeah.
and make it, the efficiency of it. I lean on that side more of just like it's a
Mhm.
tool, and once you learn how to use it, it makes you better, but it's not
Yeah.
going to replace, everything.
Yep.
It's replacing a lot of things, like,
It
but
is. It's true.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. Um, well, one of the things that I talk about in my book is day one you. Like, so if you were to talk to that day one Andy that started Big C in 2005, was it called Big C? Was that the
that 2005 is when I filed the name Big C. Before that, I
okay?
was just freelancing as myself, and then
Okay,
it
okay.
yeah.
So, if you could talk to that version of yourself, knowing what you know now and the 20 plus year journey that you've had, growing Big C, and the evolution of the company and your services and the niche that you serve, all of those things. What advice would you give to day one you?
Charge more, 100%. Like, and it's hard now, but I think there's a couple of things I'm proud of that I wouldn't change, and one is that I've always tried to run the business with integrity, and, like, billing accurately for the work that we're doing has been really important to me. But also there's a guilt, and I talk to a lot of women in our space who have gone through this, and most of the men I know have not. So I don't know if this is a gender differentiation, but we tend to undercharge when we think we can't figure something out, and we shouldn't be charging the client for that time. And I think about where we were in 2005. We were literally building things that had never been built before. Like, WordPress was just on the scene. We're trying new plugins and putting new things together. We don't know what's going to clash or work together. Like, yes, I've built 30 websites, but none of them had this combination of these features. And I just felt so much guilt around things I did wrong, that I had so many projects that went underwater, and I was like really struggling financially many times, like ups and downs throughout the years. And I think that just being honest with, like, what it takes to do the work, is something that I wish I had learned sooner. And I guess it's not about charging more, but it's about being honest about that work. So there's that.
Mhm.
And also, like, my second one is make hard decisions faster. Oh my gosh. Like, I just would kick the can down the road. I'll deal with this in June or July or August, and now it's October, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I'm still dealing with the same thing because I don't wanna make the decision that I know needs to be made."
Yeah,
That's the
yeah.
big
The pricing one is so funny because I don't I like I that it's just a hard thing to struggle. Like,
Mhm.
you know that, like you said, it's kind of like, I know this is what the work takes, right? But then when you get any pushback on the pricing,
Yeah.
it's hard because you're like, well, maybe I could charge less, or,
Yep.
but the reality is it takes this many people, this many hours, this much, effort, whatever. And certain people can devalue that, right? Like,
Mhm.
but they don't know, right? So if they want to do it themselves, or if they want to, hire somebody else, they can go do that. I actually had that with I've had that a little bit come up with ghostwriting services. Like, people, will push back on the pricing a little bit, and I'm like, I know what else is out there, so go ahead and look, right?
Yeah,
Because
exactly. Yeah.
like, I know you're not gonna get a better deal. It's ghostwriting is just expensive in general, and I still struggle with pricing it where I should, right?
Yep.
But it is one of those things where it's like, I know what else is out there and what other people charge. So,
Yep.
it's hard. It's a that's a real struggle. And my just year and a half of being in business, I think one of the best lessons or not best, one of the hardest lessons I've learned is, like, that decision piece that you mentioned.
Yes.
There are just times where things don't feel right, or something just seems off, and you're
Mhm.
like, you just keep going around and around in your head about it, right? And then when
Yeah.
you finally do make a decision, you realize that's what you should have done in the first
It's
place.
so much easier. Yes. Making the decision is the hardest part. Everything after that gets easier because you know the direction you're moving in. And so it's like, I wish I'd done that so much earlier.
Yeah,
There's two things. It's the clients who come to you who say it's just whatever comes after that word is, like, never a good thing, right? Oh, it's just a little change. It's just moving this to the left. It's just, like, no, if it was just that, you could have done it yourself. So the
right.
just word is my least favorite word when we talk
Yeah.
about the work we have to do. And then from a hard decision standpoint, I was thinking, like, obviously, I think we all do, but I was thinking of one specific example in my head, or many that were on the same lines. But I also think I've learned those hard decisions are also like the clients we take on, and the clients you take on define the business you become. And so like looking at those, evaluating the red flags and green flags in the sales process and really going with your gut on those, like thinking about like, what is this person going to be like when I'm working with them next month? Like when we're on a call and something's sticky or uncomfortable, are they going to be like, this tone with me then? Or they haven't responded to an email for 3 weeks. Like, is this how our workflow is going to go? Yes. The answer is yes, every single time. Like their sales process is their best behavior. It's only going to get worse from there.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have to take those things and you have to be able to say no. Like, I love being in a position to say no.
Yeah. Well, it's great advice, Andy. Thank you. Well, I want to take a moment, just talk about kind of just a little bit more anything that we didn't cover with the services you offer and how people who you want to learn more about you and how you might be able to help them, how they can get in touch with you and find you online and reach out.
Yeah, this is the part I'm worst at because I'm not a great salesperson. But yeah, if you are looking for story led marketing, paid media, SEO, content marketing, we actually offer a model called Vision and Velocity where we come in and do fractional CMO work with you to help you plan. Because sometimes you think you need SEO, but what you actually need is something else completely. And so we'll help you actually decide how to spend your marketing budget and your limited marketing dollars. And then we'll help you with what we call velocity, which is to speed up, which is supplementing your internal team and talents and resources and AI, whatever that looks like. So that's our marketing model. And yeah, we still do websites and web design as well. And that's where we're at. We're at bigc.co.
Great. And you have your own podcast as well, right, Andy?
I haven't done it in a long time, but thank
Oh,
you for
okay. All
asking.
right. The occasional podcast,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah. Yep. It's
Got
been
it.
a little
Got it.
while.
Okay. Well, we won't go check that out, but we will check
Nope.
out the Big
Don't go
C
check that out yet.
All right. And people can find you on LinkedIn as well. I know that because we're connected
Yep.
there. So,
I'm always
all right.
there.
Well,
Yeah.
thanks, Andy. Thanks for coming on and sharing your authority X factor with us
Yeah.
and sharing your story.
Thanks, Kelly.
Thanks for watching. My book, Unlocking Your Authority X Factor, is now available on Amazon. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. See you next week.